Hi everyone, good morning. So, today I'm going to deal with autonomic nervous system. Autonomic nervous system is of important topic for you people. In this autonomic nervous system, you people are going to read in detail about sympathetic and parasympathetic systems. So, coming to the nervous system, it is a peripheral nervous system, central nervous system. And again peripheral nervous system is divided into efferent division, efferent division, and efferent division is again divided into autonomic nervous system, somatic nervous system. So now autonomic nervous system is again divided into sympathetic and parasympathetic. So sympathetic is the adrenergic system and parasympathetic is your cholinergic system. So today my topic goes with parasympathetic mimetics, lytics, mimetics. So you people should know the difference between the lytics and mimetics. Mimic means which resembles the same. So today we are going to deal with parasympathetomimetics, also called as cholinergic drugs. So in a nutshell, if you want to tell this in a nutshell, what is the difference between a sympathetic and a parasympathetic? What is the origin? What is how it is distributed? What is it the transmitter? So just a nutshell, if you want to see this, it is origin from sympathetic from lumbar. This is and parasympathetic from cranial sacral. Distribution, the sympathetic is distribution is wide, but the parasympathetic limited to head, neck and trunk, and ganglia anyway from the organ, and it is very close to the organ when comes to the parasympathetic. Postganglionic fiber is long, where it is short in parasympathetic. So in the transmission is non-adrenaline, acetylcholine. Two types of this major. So the major neurotransmitter or neuroeffector of sympathetic system is your non-adrenaline. For parasympathetic, it is acetylcholine. So this is a acetylcholine. The important function of this sympathetic system, nervous system, is tracking, stretch, and emergency. Nothing but fight and flight mode. So immediately there is a release of adrenaline, all these neurotransmitters. So when it is coming to the parasympathetic, it accumulation of food and conversion of your energy. So this is the main difference between sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Now, we people are going to deal with what is the synthesis, storage and release of the acetylcholine. So, today we are going to read in detail, just make a note of cholinergic drugs that mimics. It is again of three types. What are the three important type of drugs? That is esters of choline or choline esters, nothing but your acetylcholine, methacholine, carboxyl, etc. Cholinomimetic alkaloids, that are your pilocarpine, muscarine, aracholine. I'll tell the classification also, just in nutshell I want to tell you people. And cholinergic cholinesterase inhibitors. So cholinesterase is inhibitors are differ from anticholinergic drugs. Don't make confusion. So in this cholinergic system, we are going to read about the three group of drugs that are esters of choline, cholinomimetic alkaloids, anticholinesterase inhibitors. So these three. Today my topic goes with these three. Now coming to the storage, synthesis and release and destruction of acetylcholine. How the acetylcholine is formed? First of all, synthesis of choline. If you see this a picture of 5 or 6 steps in this picture, we can see this synthesis of acetylcholine. How it is synthesized? The choline is actively taken by axons of membrane by sodium. That is synthesis of choline and transported of, see the structure in that picture. We can see this inhibited, then by choline and sodium, with the help of acetylcholine coenzyme A, the acetylcholine is formed. That is the first step of synthesis of acetylcholine, which which is inhibited by hemicholium. Next, second step where uptake into storage vehicles, where it can be stored. It can be stored in the ionic solution with the small synaptic vehicles. So it is stored when there is action potential, synaptic cleft. There is a release, that is the third step, release of neurotransmitter. There is a release of neurotransmitter and there is a release of acetylcholine. In the fourth step, you can bind this acetylcholine with the acetylcholine receptor, and then it has its in action, and then it is degradation into choline and acetyl, and again it can be recycled. The sixth step, that is recycling of your choline. Choline is again taken by the neuron. Again the same cycle repeats. If you see, the same cycle repeats. That is the, I am just shortening this for you people to make you to comfort levels. So I am just shortening this to 6 steps. Synthesis of acetylcholine, uptake, release, binding with the receptors, degradation to choline and acetyl. Again the choline was taken. Again the same cycle will repeat. So coming to the receptors. So in this slide, I want you people to tell that this, you should know clearly that this is a receptor based pharmacology. Receptors are very important, especially the ANS. You are going to read with the ANS, with the receptor based pharmacology, where you should know the receptors crystal clearly. So here coming to the receptors. So there are two types of receptors for this, that is muscarine and nicotine. This muscarine and nicotine is again divided into M1, M2, M3, M4 and M5, and then nicotine is divided into NN and MM. I think so. Next slide you can see this, the site of cholinergic transmission and types of receptors involved. So what are the types? For it is a postglandic, it is a muscarine, and a selective agonist is muscarine and antagonist is atropine. So in adrenal medulla, in ganglia, it is a nicotinic, and DMPPA, you can see what you mean, dimethyl diphenyl piperenzyme, and what is this selective antagonist is your hexazonium. CNS, it is muscarine and your anti-selective antagonist is your atropine. So this is the receptor based pharmacology. You are going to read in further classes. You should be very cautious in learning the receptors, agonist, antagonist. And in the adrenergic system, nothing but the parasympathetics also, you are having the alpha and beta block receptors. So that's another story. You people in this, especially the ANS, we're going to deal with the receptor based pharmacology. Make a note that you people should know the receptors, where it is present and what are its actions. Is not much, but it should be very crystal clear to you. Coming to the different types of cholinergic esterases. This cholinesterase, which is very important, I told in the synthesis, that is acetyl coenzyme A enzyme. It is very important for the degradation of acetyl and choline. It is again of two types, that is acetylcholine, acetyl coenzyme, true acetyl, and pseudo cholinesterase, that is butyryl cholinesterase. So it is also called pseudo. So where it is distributed, these two types of cholinesterases. So distribution, all cholinergic sites RBC and gray, this is acetylcholine, and pseudo, this is true. In pseudo, it is again plasma, liver, intestine and white matter. It is hydrolysis. Where it is hydrolysis, true acetylcholinesterase is hydrolysis by acetylcholine very fast, the hydrolysis acetylcholine very fast, and where it is pseudo is very slow, methacholine is slow than acetylcholine, not hydrolysis, not hydrolyzed, and beta choline not hydrolyzed. So inhibition, most sensitive to physostigmine, most sensitive to organophosphates. So this is the drugs. We are going to deal in detail about these drugs and functions, termination of acetylcholine action and hydrolysis of instant esters. So these are the subtypes or types of muscarine and nicotinic receptors. Nicotinic in next slide. Next slide we can see this. Nicotine. See, by seeing this location only you can get the what I can say uses. So if for example M2, the M2 where it is present, if you see SCA node, it is present in the SCA node, you can have some actions on the heart. So like this, the location that you just just keep a note of that location and agonist and antagonist of your receptors is very important. Coming to the M1, M2, M3, M4, M5. So this is the group of this is the what is that muscarinic receptors. If you want to make a bunch, M1, M3, M5 are in one class and M2, M4 are fall in another class. So next coming to the what are the characteristics and importance subtypes of muscarinic receptors. Location, where it is location, M1 is located in where in autonomic ganglia, that which one cause depolarization, and gastric which release the histamine release, and CNS learning, memory and motor functions. And coming to the M2, it is present in the SCA node, AV node, atrium, nothing but in the heart. H2M2 is present in the heart and in also in CNS where there is a tremors, and in visceral it is in visceral smooth muscles causes contraction. So M3 is present in the visceral smooth muscles. So it is in there where iris it can have the contraction of pupillary. So make a note what contraction. So it is having a meiotic effect. So we can use as a meiotic drug. So like that, if you know the location, if you know its action, it's very easy to resemble with your therapeutic uses. So coming to the agonist and antagonist. If agonist M1 for oxytyronium and M2 it is methacholine and M3 it is a beta-alcohol. Agonist, antagonist is your ironzepine, telinzepine. For M2 it is tripyramine, and for this M3 that is hexahydroxylamine. Hexahydroxylenophenol. Next coming to the nicotinic receptors, again it is NMNN. So where it is located? It is located in the depolarization of muscle end plate and constriction of skeletal muscles. NN is present in the autonomic ganglia. And what is this? Agonist and antagonist. It is nicotinin and same in the nicotinin, and the antagonist is your D-tubecurarin and here hexamethonium and trimethophan. So this is the receptors of your cholinergic system, muscarinic and nicotinic. Coming to the drugs, that is also called cholinergic drugs, cholinomimetics, parasympathomimetics drugs. I already told this is again divided into esters of choline, cholinomimetic alkaloids and anticholinesterase inhibitors, means which will going to inhibit the enzyme. Coming to the choline esters of choline, acetylcholine, methacholine, carboxyl, beta-alcohol. Coming to the cholinergic mimetic alkaloids, that is pilocarpine, muscarine, aracholine. And cholinergic inhibitors, cholinesterase inhibitors are anticholinesterases. Anticholinergic drugs are different and anticholinesterase drugs are different. Make a note. Again, this is divided into reversible and irreversible. I will tell what you mean by reversible and what you mean by irreversible. First, make a note of these drugs. So it's again reversible, irreversible. Reversible again carbamates, aceclidine and irreversible organophosphates and carbamates. Coming to the carbamates, physostigmine, neostigmine, pyridostigmine, endophonia, pravastigmine, donepezil, glenitamine, antirasin. Coming to the organophosphorus, diflox, ethiothiophate, parathion, malthion, diazinon, tabun, serine, soman. And carbamates are carbachol, propofox. So these are the drugs which we are going to read in detail. What are the uses, adverse effects, etc., etc. Coming to the first of all esters of choline. The pharmacological actions are, again we should learn in detail about muscarinic actions and nicotinic actions. First of all, we will go with the muscarinic actions of drugs. Coming to the muscarinic actions, heart. What happens if this drug is given, or what happens with these drugs? So heart, what happens? There is a negative chromotropic effect. Nothing but it will causes bradycardia. Nothing but what is meant by chromotropic, which increases the heart rate. So it increases the heart rate in SA node and can cause the bradycardia. Negative inotropic, that decreases the, what is that, contractility. There is a decrease of contractility, which is also called as negative inotropic effect, and increases the conduction velocity of atria, which leads to produce AV block by depressing the AV conduction. And it also have a negative AV, that is but negative chromotropic, that is decreases the AV node. Blood vessels, what happens? There is a decrease in blood vessel dilatation of arteries, and there is a decrease in BP, release of endothelium dependent releasing factor. And what happens with the smooth muscles? So coming to the smooth muscles, if you see keenly, there is a contraction. There is a contractions, except your sphincter and trigone muscles. Everything was, there is a contraction. So if you see this pharmacological actions, by knowing your pharmacological actions, we can go with the uses and also with the adverse effects. If you see this, if you're going to learn, or if you're going to see these pharmacological actions, by comparing these pharmacological actions, we can go with the uses and also adverse effects and also the contraindications. See, now you just make a note, or just make a note what I am telling. Just make a note what are the pharmacological uses, that we should correlate with the therapeutic uses and adverse effects also. So just make a note. Coming to the smooth muscles, I already tell there is a contraction. Come GIT, there is a increases the tone and peristalsis, and there is a splinter release and evacuation. Gallbladder, there is a contraction. In urinary bladder, there is a what is going to, there is a detrusor muscle is going to contraction, and splinter muscles relaxation. Bronchial muscle, there is a bronchospasm, full contractions. So coming to the uterus, it is a contracted, and uterus, it is a variable depending upon the dose. Variable means. Coming to the glands, so every glands, so make a note here. So all the secretion glands, that is sweating, salivation, lacrimation, and trachobronchial and gastric secretions, everything will be increased. So all glands, the glands affects, what is the effect of acetylcholine? Means there is increase of secretions from the glands. So on the in the milk and bile, there is no such effects can be seen. Coming to the eyes, so I already told there is a meiotic effect. So we can use these drugs for the meiosis drugs. Yes or no? Yes. So meiotic, there is a constriction of circular muscles of sphincter pupil. So it is also constricts the circular muscles and relaxation of suspensory ligaments of the lens. So this is an action of reduces the focal length, vision fixed for the short distance, spasm of accommodation. Coming to the male sex organ, there is excitation in muscarinic action and evacuation by alpha 1 action. Nicotinic. Coming to the nicotinic, what is the nicotinic actions? Coming autonomic ganglia, there is increase in release of acetylcholine and non-adrenaline. In the skeletal muscles, the initial contractions, high doses paralysis of skeletal muscles by persistent depolarization. So coming to the CNS, what is central nervous system action? Is initial stimulation followed by depression. Pharmacokinetic. So what is the pharmacokinetic of the drug, of these drugs? So there is hygroscopic powder and crystal form, and rapid hydrolysis oral. It is a poor absorption and rapid distribution. See, make a note here again. Poor for oral absorption. This should be noted. Why? Why it is poor? Acetylcholine, there is a fast degradation. Immediately within a fraction of second, it is divided into choline and acetyl. Make a note of this. Coming to the even on IV, a very brief destroyed by true acetylcholine ester at site of 5 to 20 seconds of action, and by pseudo acetylcholine esterase in plasma. Coming to the drug interactions, what happens if interaction? Atropine antagonizes the muscarinic action, adrenaline physiological antagonist, and anticholinesterase potentiates the acetylcholine. Coming to the ADR, what is the major and minor ADR of this? What drugs we are dealing with? Choline of esters, that is acetylcholine, carboxyl, etc. Coming to the minor, that is GIT disturbances, flushing, salivation, sweep, and sweating, and bradycardia. We already make a note of this sweating, everything, because this is not adverse effect. It is what if you give the drugs? This is the causes of this minor adverse effects. And severe hypotension. This is when we go with the pharmacological actions, we can note this ADR also. And coming to the arrhythmias, bronchospasm. So it should not, make a note, it should be contraindicated in bronchospasm. If there is a bronchospasm, it should be contraindicated in bronchial asthma. So like this, we should correlate our subject. Make a note, we should correlate by knowing the pharmacological actions. We should correlate with this subject. So bronchospasm is immediately we can go with the bronchospasm. So we should have contraindicated in where? In bronchial asthma. And there is heavy release of secretion. So it should not be used in peptic ulcer. Like that, we should go in detail by learning the pharmacological actions only. We can have a note of uses, adverse effects, contraindication, where it should not be used, where this drug should not be used. Coming to the parenteral, carboxyl and beta-alcohol never should given in IV route administration, and IV route administration. Beta-alcohol preferred overdose because it wide margin of safety. It can be beta-alcohol can be used, and carboxyl, it is accumulate toxicity, high potent and long acting, so it should not be used, and it is also having additional nicotine effects. Coming to the uses. So now I already told acetylcholine itself, if you keep it, there is no uses of acetylcholine. Keep a star and write in your books. So acetylcholine, which is already present in your body, if you given externally, there is no use. We are not using acetylcholine at all. So its analogs like methacholine can be rarely used for the diagnosis of your why it is not used. Sorry for the interruption. Why there is no use of acetylcholine means I already told this. Why? There is a fast degradation immediately after forming of acetylcholine. It is divided into choline and acetyl. So there is no use. Seconds, fraction of seconds, is going to degrade. Hydrolysis process is done. So there is no use of acetylcholine. And coming to the methacholine, it is rarely used in diagnosis of belladonna poisoning, and carboxyl. For carboxyl and beta-alcohol can be used in post-operative illness. It is used in post-operative illness and also abdominal distension followed by surgery in toxic state. Why it is used in these conditions? Because to relieve the gastric atony and in cases of urinary retention. So they increase the to make a gastric atony, to make any sense. So that is used for this conditions, for relief of gastric atony, for following bilateral vagoectomy for peptic ulcer and urinary retentions. So what is the contraindications? I already told. It should not be used. In angina and bronchial asthma because of danger of aggressive and precipitative bronchospasm, and peptic ulcer as the agent increases gastric acid secretions. In myocardial infection also it should not be used because it may danger the hypotension and develop the cardiac conduction blocks, and it should not be used in hyperthyroidism. Because why it should not be used? Because it may precipitate the cardiac arrhythmias. It should not be used in these conditions. Coming to the cholinomimetic alkaloids, means these are alkaloids are the drugs which are formed naturally from plants, alkaloids which will end with INE. Any drug which end with INE, ENDLO, if you see this, you can see pilocarpine, atropine, all INE, nicotine, all end with INE. INE drugs are all alkaloids. So in this group alkaloids, these are natural alkaloids. Cholinomimetic alkaloid is your pilocarpine, where we can go with see with the where you can get this drug by Pilocarpus microphyllus. This is where we can get this plant, this drug. And what is this use, where it can be used? On eye, meiosis, spasm of accommodation. What is the dose? It decreases the intraocular tension. 0.5 to 4% of drops can be used, and it is also used in open angle glaucoma. Yes, coming to this, what is the glaucoma? It is a damage or nerve damage is a eye. This drugs angle, open angle glaucoma. What do you mean by glaucoma? Means nothing but there is a damage of your intraoptic nerve, damage of nerve. So it is again of two types. What is that? Open angle glaucoma and closure angle glaucoma. So again, glaucoma is your other full topic you are going to read in detail with these drugs. But coming to this pilocarpine, what is the main pilocarpine? What is that? Where you can use this? Is a third line group of drugs, not the first line, third line. First line your prostaglandins, your other class we can go with this other class, open angle glaucoma, closure angle glaucoma. And other uses to contract mydriaticis. And now what do you mean by mydriaticis? There is a dilatation of your pupil, where we want dilatation of pupil, where to observe, to have the what is that, if you go to the doctor, we can hide some drops after 10 minutes, we can, there is examination for the eye examination. So the doctors want to open that, they want to check up the spasm of your eye, everything. So in that condition, we can go with the mydriatics. And other condition also we can discuss other topic, that is again. So where we can use this? So to contract the mydriatis, if it is more overdose of mydriatic, we can contract this pilocarpine miotic drugs to contract the mydriatic effects. Coming to the muscarine. So muscarine is a poisonous. What poison? That is mushroom poison. We eat all mushrooms. You people like very much, no? So again, mushroom is again of 2-3 types. That is muscarine type. Then inocadepe. That is at where, what is the drug of choice is your atropine, 1.1 to 2 mg IM every 30 minutes, and cholinergic and halogenic type, that is Amenta muscarina. So there is no specific treatment. We can go with the sedative sometimes, and where atropine is contraindicated. And felidin type, that is Amenta felodinis, suppository measures and ticonic acid can be used. Yes, now this is very important. Further class is your anticholinergic or cholinergic inhibitors. Cholinesterase inhibitors, sorry. Cholinesterase inhibitors or cholinesterases. Anticholinesterases means cholinesterase. These are the enzyme dependent drugs. We already told us what is this enzyme dependent. This is a structure of carbamates and organophosphates. Coming to this. Coming to the anticholinesterase inhibitors. So what is this? We should learn detail about, first of all, about the what is that enzyme. So the enzyme normally, the acetylcholine is inactivated by combination of two sides of enzyme cholinesterase. This enzyme is having anionic site, esteric site. Don't be confused. So an enzyme is having two sides, that is anionic site. Just listen carefully. Anionic site and esteric site. So normally if you give acetylcholine, this is going to bind with both the anionic site and esteric site and attracts. What is that? Anionic site is having a negative charge which attracts the quaternary nitrogen of acetylcholine. See the N there, that is nitrogen. Just make a note, that is a nitrogen. And esteric site having attracts with the carboxylic acid group, that is COOH, carboxylic group of acetylcholine molecule. As a result, there is a union of acetylcholine with the cholinesterase. So this acetylcholine is having two sides, yeah, a negative and negative, that is your nitrogen, and it is your COOH, nothing but carboxylic group. So if this is again there is a formation with both the sites are useful for the acetylcholine, and then after that it is going to hydrolysis, and there is again going to the receptors, and again what happened, there is a form, there is a, what is that, what we can say, so what we can say, this as a result of union of acetylcholine with cholinergic, the esteric site of enzyme is accelerated, and this results in splinting of choline and acetyl. So after some time, the both sides are opened. Now coming to, this is a normal acetylcholine. Coming to the reversible, what happens? So reversible also same process. It is having a complex with the receptor. This same it will bind to anionic site and esteric site, except your endophonium. It's only binds to only one side. That is one side. It is bind to the anionic site. So after some time, but after some time, it takes slow process. It's reversible. It can be reversed. The bonding is with the reversible or irreversible. The bond between this nitrogen and COOH with the covalent bond. Normally there will be no bond, but anionic and esteric, after acetylcholine degradation, it is free of these two sides are free. But if coming to the receptor, reversibly and anticholinesterase drugs like endophorium, neostigmine, physostigmine, there is a slow action anamata. There is a slow action. Then coming to the irreversible, it is having covalent bond. Only it is going to, but it is going to bind only to what site? It is only binding to an esteric site only. There is no binding with the anionic site. The binding is very sometimes what happens, sometimes there is no, the hydrolysis of phosphorylated site however is slow, and in certain cases does not occur at all. This procedure is almost irreversible inhibition of cholinesterases. So this is the site of anionic site and esteric site. Normally there is a degradation. For irreversible it can be reversible. Sorry, irreversible it can be sometimes slow or irreversible, but with irreversible drugs like organophosphates. Why I am telling this stretchful means organophosphorus drugs are your OP poisoning. All the drugs are insecticides, pesticides. The insecticides, pesticides consist of organophosphorus drugs. So this is a very important clinical accept for you people for the 2 marks question and 3 marks for a 4 marks question. OP poisoning important. So make a note of this. See, coming to the acetylcholine plus cholinesterase, there is esteric site is accelerated and splinting of choline. When it is acetylcholine and cholinesterase, choline plus acetylcholine enzyme, that is a covalently bond. So this is a normal phenomenon. This is what happens normally. If it is a acetylated enzyme reacts with H2O very rapidly, and esteric site is freed in fraction of seconds, and again there is a same cycle. I already told this formation, synthesis, etc., etc. So after milliseconds, it is again the same. The enzyme, the receptor is ready, the enzyme is ready, it is a binding, and immediately it will release. Same process. But coming to the reversible reversible carbametic enzyme reacts very slowly. This group of drugs like neostigmine, physostigmine, this slowly they will act. Coming to the irreversible acting, that is phosphorylated enzymes, extremely slow or not at all. The binding with the enzyme of these receptors, these drugs and receptor is very slow. It takes very slowly, it will come out, and it will and it is very difficult to treat for the treatment. So it is very important, make a note of this. The phosphorylated enzymes go and undergo aging, nothing but aging means after some days it is very difficult to come out by loss of their alkaline group and become totally resistant to the hydrolysis. This process of hydrolysis, divide of choline and acetate and choline will be it takes many days to divide. So hydrolysis processes became resistance. Now coming to the drugs, that is physostigmine. Physostigmine will again will get from the Physostigma venenosum. What is the Pharmacokinetics, how it is used due to the inhibition of cholinesterase, pseudo and true, the eye drops in glaucoma and atropine poisoning where it can be used, and meiosis, it can cause spasm of accommodation and decreases the intraocular tension. Pharmacokinetics, it is tertiary compound and crosses the blood-brain barrier and other membranes, and physostigmine is isolated, which is used for the ophthalmic use of this dose of 0.1 to 1%, where you can use this. So it is used as a meiotic in glaucoma. It is used in treatment of RX, means treatment of anticholinergic poisoning, means atropine poisoning. Atropine is an anticholinergic drug. Atropine is an anticholinergic drug. That is another class. This is now we are just restriction to cholinergic mimetics, anticholinesterases. Don't confuse yourself. Anticholinergics are different from anticholinesterases. In the RX of poisoning with phenothiazines and tricyclic antidepressants. So this is the uses of your physostigmine. Coming to the neostigmine, same as what happens, inhibits acetylcholinesterase and also stimulates the certain organs. GIT increases the tone and motility and increases the juice secretions. In skeletal muscles, it increases the power of skeletal muscles in myasthenia patients. Now, what is this myasthenia? I will tell you what you mean by this myasthenia gravis. By increasing the anticholinesterase, by increasing the amount of, how it is going to act, specifically used in myasthenia gravis. How? By anticholinesterase activity, by increasing the amount of acetylcholine release by directly stimulating the NM receptors on motor end plate by nature of its structural similar to acetylcholine. Now coming to this, what do you mean by, first of all, what do you mean by myasthenia gravis? Myasthenia gravis is an autoimmune disorder affecting about in 1 in 10,000 due to the development of antibodies directly to the nicotinic receptor at muscle end plate. There is a reduction in the number of free NM cholinergic receptors. So this is the autoimmune disorder. So neostigmine can be used in this myasthenia gravis. Coming to the CVS, it decreases the heart rate and decreases the BP. And in intraocular tension eye, there decreases the intraocular tension. In autonomic ganglia, there is a low doses, it increases, and high doses, it decreases. In various secretions, increases, and in smooth muscles, there is a contraction. And coming to the dose, it is neostigmine tablet 10 mg, 15 mg, and doses is 15 to 30 mg. And ferrostigmine, less potent and long acting, dose is 60 mg per tablet and 60 to 240, sorry. And embinonium, most potent and long acting, and its tablet is 10 milligrams, 10 to 25 milligrams can be used. Coming to the endothorium, coming to this is also the drug which can be used in the diagnostics of myasthenia gravis. How we can diagnose this? We can see this in the uses. So endothorium is short acting. It is used in diagnostics and also sometimes the treatment of myasthenia gravis. It is used in post-operative decurinization, and decuranium, long acting, most potent drug used for the eye drops, which lasts for 1 to 3 days. And tracilin, which crosses the blood-brain barrier, long acting, produces the peripheral partial sympathetic improvement in Alzheimer's disease. So these what is this other drugs like rivastigmine, doxycycline, these are the drugs used in Alzheimer's disease. Coming to the adverse drug reactions. So ADR of muscarinic actions, that is increases of all the secretions, etc. And physostigmine and dimecrenum eye drops. Coming to the, what do you mean by Alzheimer's disease? Where this is usually in AD, I am telling what is this AD. Alzheimer's disease are the mental dissociation that can occur in the middle age or in the old age due to the generalization of what is that? There is a loss of memory. You can, nothing but in a nutshell, if you want to say, this is a loss of memory. It can be occurred in any age. It can be a genetically type, or it may be differ depending upon the environment type of disease. Uses. Yes, coming to the uses of this, all this drugs. Uses, it is used as a meiotic, where in glaucoma, in what is the drugs can be used in pilocarpine and physostigmine. Point one. Most probably nowadays, this physostigmine is also somewhat doubt, but pilocarpine, I already told, this is a third line treatment for the glaucoma to reverse the effects of mydriatics, alternative to prevent the adhesions between the iris and lens and cornea, and myasthenia gravis. Yes, so myasthenia gravis. In myasthenia gravis, the neostigmine is a drug of choice in many cases, and also corticosteroids, and also the main process is your thymectomy, surgery, nothing but surgery. The main process, we can go the surgery also. So how we can identify the difference between a myasthenia gravis or it is a cholinergic crisis? How? By taking a endothelium 2 mg to the patient IV. If this the if there is improvement, if there is improvement with this drug, with this dose, that is endothelium, that is myasthenia gravis, it still worsens the condition, it is a cholinergic crisis. So by identifying with this is called endothelium test. So if you are having any doubt, just go with this test and we can make a difference. If there is improvement, that is a myasthenia gravis, and if it is still worsening the condition, it is cholinergic crisis. And post-operative paralytic iligus and urinary retention, it is increases your urinary atony, it increases the, so this drug is used, that is a dose of 0.5 to 1 mg neostigmine, and post-operative it also used in post-operative decuranization, and in cobra bite neostigmine and atropine to prevent the gastroesophageal and ocular nerve paralysis, and belladonna poisoning, physostigmine and other drugs overdose like tricyclic antidepressants and other antihistamics, and Alzheimer's disease to improve the dementia. So these are the drugs we can use in this uses of these drugs. Coming to the in previous slide, I want to make a small note about the irreversible, that is neostigmine, physostigmine. What is the difference between a neostigmine and physostigmine? It may be a 2 marks question to you people. What is the difference between? So the source of physostigmine is natural and neostigmine is synthetic. So what is it can be used? Where it can be used? So CNS penetration, which is the drug of choice of myasthenia gravis. Neostigmine is the drug of choice for the neostigmine and myasthenia gravis, and physostigmine, it can be used in meiotics. So like this, there is a list in your Tripathi book. You can have a note of this difference between physostigmine and neostigmine. Coming to this slide, especially irreversible organophosphates, that is where the binding atonic, I already told this, anionic site at esteric site. These drugs are going to bind only to the esteric site, and there is irreversibly binding will be there. It is very difficult to take off this or sometimes it may take days, weeks to come out and take the normal hydrolysis of the enzyme. So coming to the uses, in the eye it can be used organophosphates, in the eye it can be used DMP for the glaucoma, and ecothiopate 0.05% for takes for 3 weeks, decreases intraocular tension. But what is the adverse effects? There is a ciliary spasm, brown eye, headache, blurred vision. We can see all this with this therapeutic uses of all these organophosphates. So coming to the organophosphates compound poisoning. So what is the poisoning? Now coming to the poisoning. Very important to you people, make a note in star and write about this organophosphorus poisoning, also called OP poisoning. The treatment of OP poisoning is very important for you people. So I am just stressing this especially. It may be a 4 marks question or it may be a 2 marks question. Coming to the symptoms, what are the muscarinic symptoms? CNS effects, muscarinic effects, and nicotinic effects. So what are these effects? Now tell me, you people should answer this question. So muscarinic effects, nothing but there is increase of all your glands, Nicotine increase CNS effects. There is a confusion, demulsions, etc. etc. There is confusion. There is a loss of consciousness sometimes. So muscarinic increases of all salivary secretions. There is a decrease bradycardia can be seen. I already discussed all in muscarinic and nicotinic uses. Just make a note of this. And coming to the other treatment. What is the treatment? So what is the treatment of this OP poisoning? First, termination. So termination of exposure. Now what do you mean by this termination of exposure? There is termination of exposure of poisoning, that is fresh air. Make the patient to the fresh air, remove the cloth, skin, mucous membrane with soap and water, gastric lavage according to the need. Maintain patent airway, positive pressure respiration if it is failing. So suppository measure, make the BP, maintain the BP, dehydration, control the conversions, and use the diazepam. You can use this diazepam for the suppository methods. And coming to the atropine. So what is the dose? I just did not mention. Make a dose, make a note of dose of, what is the dose? 2 milligrams, right? Make a note, just write down 2 mg IV repeatedly for every 10 minutes. I am just repeating. In atropine, just make a note, 2 milligrams IV repeatedly every 10 minutes till dryness of mouth and other symptoms of atropinization symptoms appears. Got it? Make a note. Just listen. Why I did not keep in the slide means you people must write this. You should, don't sleep. I'm telling, just don't sleep. Okay? This is a somewhat big class. I don't have any options. Make a note of atropine, near the atropine. What is the specific antidotes for OP poisoning? That is atropine 2 mg per 10 minutes for every 10 minutes till atropinization symptoms occurs. What do you mean by this atropinization symptoms? What do you mean by this? Means, see, for all the muscarinic action, there is increase of salivations, yes or no? There is excess of all glands, lacrimation, salivation, sweating. By seeing the patients, if you come to your ward, your emergency ward, if you commonly seen, ante nothing but taking a poisoning, your insecticide, pesticides they are taking on the, as a farmers you can see, in the farmers you can take this insecticide, pesticides, but just they will drink it. So how we can identify that it is a OP poisoning? Means there will be the dress, nothing but the cloths will be full of wet. There will be the what is that? They're having their secretions very high from eyes, nose, everywhere you can see, and in the eyes we can see constriction, that is meiosis. These are the effects of your cholinergic mimetics, yes or no? This is muscarinic effects. So to counteract this, atropine, anticholinergic drug, that is atropine is used. What is the dose? The dose of 2 milligrams per every 10 minutes, till atropinization symptoms, means the reverse symptoms of your muscarinic. What is the reverse symptoms? That is a accretion of salivation. This is a dry mouth. Here there is a dry mouth, all dryness. Your skin will dry, your eyes will dry, your everything will be dried. So that is the opposite action of your what? Opposite action of your muscarinic effects. So this is the use of your atropine. Other group of drug is cholinergic reactivator, that is oxymes, pyridoxine, diacetomoxime, monoxime, and obidoxime. These are the drugs which can be used. Pyridoxine, what is the dose? 500 mg per 20 ml. So these all the drugs used for the OP poisoning is very important. It is very important. Make a note of this. So what is the maximum dose for atropine for one day? It is 200 milligrams per one day. Make a note again. 200 milligram for one day. So what is starting from 2 mg to 200 mg. Make a note of this. Very important. Coming to the ADR. Dry oxymes. What is the ADR? Local irritation, drowsiness, and blurred vision, diplopia, tachycardia. There is a bradycardia, there is a tachycardia. See, you must make the difference. Opposite action, nothing but it is a quite and opposite action we can see here. So high doses of oxime also block NM blocking. So this is about the OP poisoning. Very important to you people. Make a note and learn. Thank you.